This is a Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Thank you for having me on your radio dial.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Interactive Wrestling Radio right here on WrestlingEpicenter.com, where we finally welcome the one and only WWE Hall of Famer, the Superfly Jimmy Snuka, to our show. Last time I tried to get Jimmy was 10 years ago when I first started. I was green as goose poop back then. Never got the interview done. Finally have, and it is at a great time because Jimmy now has a great book out called Superfly, the Jimmy SNuka Story. For a guy who doesn't usually get very introspective about his life and his experiences and his side of the wrestling industry, this is a book that reads like a conversation. Great book, worth picking up. I don't usually shill for books, but I do strongly recommend this one. Pick it up today from Triumph Books. Thanks to Jimmy Snuka for spending this time with us. Thanks to Triumph Books for setting up this interview. And thanks again for listening to the Interactive Interview, Interactive Wrestling Radio, right here on WrestlingEpicenter.com and YouTube.
This is Brett the Hitman Hart, and you're listening to the Interactive Interview.
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Interactive Wrestling Radio. Joining us on the Newsmaker line right now is a bona fide Hall of Famer, the one and only Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Superfly, are you with us?
Yes, I am, brother.
All righty.
Brother's always ready. Brother's always ready for any kind of action, brother.
Awesome. Well, that's great to hear. Well, I got to tell you, I read your book, and it was an awesome book, a great read. Way to connect to you on a level that is completely different than I've ever been able to do as just a fan watching your amazing matches. How are you satisfied with the response to the book, the Jimmy SNuka Story, available now through Triumph Books?
You know what, brother? I couldn't wait to write this with John Hefman, and I tell you what, it's fantastic. What a guy. You know, I love this guy. When we met, it just ticked off right away, brother. It clicked, you know, and I love it, man. I love it, brother.
Awesome. And in the book, you talk about a lot of personal things. Was it hard for you to talk about all the personal things that have gone on in your life? Because you and me have led very different lives. I'm pretty sheltered, but you've been out there doing the wrestling thing for so long and seen so much. Was it hard to talk about all the occurrences in your life?
You know, brother, it wasn't easy for brother, you know, but I had to tell the truth, you know. And once you tell the truth, brother, you feel better. And, you know, I like everybody to read the book because that's what it's all about, brother, the true fact.
Very good. And I got to tell you, I've been a fan of yours for many years. You know, my video collection has so many discs of you from Japan and Portland and all the various territories that you've worked through the years. And I got to ask you, you and Roddy Piper started up in Portland, and then obviously the whole feud that you guys had in the WWF. Did you learn a lot working up in Don Owens' territory up in Pacific Northwest?
Oh, yeah, with Don Owens and Elton Owens, you know, two brothers that, you know, run the whole territory, you know. And I really enjoyed up there in Portland, Oregon. That's where I first started. Loved it there, brother. I was there for like good 8 years. That's how good the territory was. And, yeah, I had a wonderful time, brother. I love those two promoters. And, you know, they did wonderful things for me.
Absolutely. Now, Roddy Piper also was in that territory around that time. And one of your biggest feuds from your career was the Piper's Pit incident with the coconut. What are your memories of working with Roddy and doing the deal with the coconut? Was that something that was that you look at as one of your biggest career highlights?
Yes, definitely, brother. Especially when the coconut hit my head. That's really history, you know. But, yeah, I loved it. And, you know, things were done right. And, I had a great time with him and, wrestling with him all over the world and stuff like that. It was fantastic, brother. I really had a good time. And, when the brother gets in the ring, the brother going to cut it loose, bro.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, my first question for you, sir, is obviously you made a name for yourself being a great high-flying wrestler. Obviously, your finishing move, the Superfly, was one of the most revolutionary moves in wrestling history. And nowadays you see guys doing all these crazy flips and spins all in the air and really have taken the high-flying style to a new level. What's your opinion on a lot of the high-flying guys that are out there today and the style that they've adopted?
You know what, brother, to be honest with you, when brother was in the ring, all right, everything's got to be timing, brother. Today, these kids today, they don't have our psychology that we used to have back in the old school days. But you know what? They really don't have much time, brothers, because back in our days, we can go like 25 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, to an hour. But today, it's kind of hard for these kids, because they only got like certain time to do things, and they rush a lot, it's kind of hard for them, brother, because, they're rushing and stuff like that, but, at least they're doing a good job of it, bro.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, when you watch TV nowadays, you're going to see your name pop up a lot because you were one of the major influences on a guy who's actually going into the WWE Hall of Fame this year, of which you're already a member, and that is Mick Foley. My question for you stems from something you've probably been asked for close to 30 years now. What was going through your head when you climbed to the top of that cage in Madison Square Garden and leaped onto Don Morocco?
Brother, that's the big apple, bro. The Madison Square Garden was my highlight of my whole life. The feeling that I have, I still have it today, And but I loved it. I loved it wrestling with Don Morocco. I loved it wrestling with Roddy Piper. And everybody else that I even met up with them. But I still have these great feelings about it and think about all these things that I did. But yeah, brother, I love it. And I just can't wait to get back in that ring again.
Now that actually brings me to my next question. In the book, you talked about your leg injury, that your ankle injury that had sidelined you. And what's the status of that? Are you able to get in the ring yet, or are you still in the rehab status?
Well, brother, it's all healed up now. It's been healed up for a while, and matter of fact, it healed so good that right now the Superfly is the Superfly Bionic Man, bro.
Superfly Bionic Man. I like that.
Awesome.
A few years ago, we actually interviewed Bret Hart, and when we had Bret on the show, he had said that he was at a show that you had done. This was back in 2009, and he said that it was absolutely amazing to see that you are still able to be the Superfly in this day and age. What do you attribute to your ability to still be Jimmy Snuka, still be the Superfly, still be the guy who jumps and does the Superfly splash?
Brother, this is my deal, all right? I work out. I try to keep my body in good shape. My mind is always working, on thinking about that I'm not done yet. So I always prepare myself and be honest and train hard, brother, to be in shape, because you don't want to go in that ring and not be in shape, and in my situation, I have no choice, and I have to do it right.
Patrick, you were about to ask a question before I interrupted you.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, we're coming on to WrestleMania season now, and you played a role in the main event of the very first WrestleMania. At that time, did you envision WrestleMania becoming this grand spectacle that it is today?
No, brothers. I'm very amazed. I didn't even didn't even know that, this was going to be, like that, so big, and, but I get goosebumps every time when, I get into that ring and, wrestle for the people in this world. I really don't have no choice but to go in there and put it on, brother, and entertain them. When they make noise, I'm going to make them make noise louder, brother, and that's just the Superfly's way of doing things.
Very cool. Now, I wanted to ask you, you were at that first WrestleMania, but you were at a very recent WrestleMania in a match against Chris Jericho. And, Chris Jericho's come out recently and said that wasn't his original plan. He was going to end up wrestling Mickey Rourke, but it got changed because of the whole politics of things. But it had to be amazing for you to go and be part of the first WrestleMania and then be part of a match at that WrestleMania. What was it like getting in the ring in front of that many people that many years after the first WrestleMania?
Well, it's incredible. I loved it. I was looking forward to it. I prepared myself for it. And I made sure that I am ready to do what I have to do and do it for the fans, brother.
Very cool.
And being there with Ricky Steamboat and Piper, brother, that's a huge one,
Absolutely. To be part of those three legends, that's just incredible.
Right.
Yeah, and then, right. Another WrestleMania that you were a part of, it was actually the first time that I saw you wrestle at a WrestleMania at my age. That was when you wrestled The Undertaker at WrestleMania 7. Was The Undertaker a guy that you envisioned becoming this huge star that he is now?
Yes, sir, brother. You got to remember that I'm the real, Phenom.
I was going to ask you that, yeah.
And I had the opportunity anyway, brother. It was a great pleasure for me to wrestle with the Undertaker, Good brother. I love the guy. And, back then, he was just coming into the business. And, I looked at him and I said, man, this guy looks great. And, he's going to be a great talent someday. But I had the pleasure, getting in that ring with the brother and having a good time.
Very cool, very cool. Now, we talked a little bit about the Superstar Splash, and your daughter right now is keeping the Superstar Splash alive on television, on WWE television. Did you ever think that your children would follow you into the wrestling business? And are you happy about that fact that they have followed you as closely into this wrestling industry?
Yeah, brothers. You see, I was the most important thing that made me really happy, brothers, is that I made sure that my children were graduating from college and stuff like that. And when all that happened and came out, then every time, like when I come home, I'm resting up and everything. And my son and my daughter, they always come and Superfly me in bed, And I'm thinking, my goodness, all right? Are they trying to tell me something?
Yeah.
Sure enough, they, I had a gym, so we've been, training and working out with them to be in good shape to prepare themselves for it. My daughter, she's awesome, but I love that girl. I love my son too, and I guess I did the right thing for them. But I just sit down and watch them, and I just cry, bro.
Wow, they make you cry, huh?
Yes, sir.
Very cool. I got to ask you something you don't get asked about a lot, and it's something that you did in very early 2000. You did a match for World Championship Wrestling at a Night for the Legends, and you came in and you did the Superfly Splash onto Jeff Jarrett. And I got to ask you, was there? I know you said there was no heights and no fear of heights when you jumped onto Don Morocco, but was there any butterflies in your stomach doing that onto Jeff Jarrett in the year 2000?
No, brother.
Not at all.
Brother knows that when the brother knows that he's gonna fly, brother, I prepare myself to make sure that everybody in this world gonna see the Superfly fly, bro.
That's awesome. That is really cool. And I got to tell you, like I said before, I've been a fan of yours for many, many years, and it's a great honor to get the chance to speak with you. I got to ask you though. Like I said earlier in the interview, you said that you were going to Mick Foley is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and he is obviously going to praise you a lot in the next couple of weeks leading into the Hall of Fame because you were such a big influence on his life and his career. On our show, Mick Foley actually told a very funny story about you. What is your how do you feel about Mick Foley? What do you think about what Mick Foley does in the ring?
Great brother. Love this guy, and very talented kid, and wrestled with him once before, and I turned around and told him, I said, brother, you got it. Take good care of yourself and take care, number one, and keep up the good work, man.
Very cool. All righty, man. Well, I got to tell you, your book is out now, and it's on Triumph Books, and it's called The Jimmy Snuka Story. And like I said earlier in the interview, it seems a little bit more of a personal side of you than we've ever seen before. Are you happy with how it came out, and how has the fan response been towards this book?
You know what, brother? I'm very happy about it. I'm very grateful that me and John, wrote this book and everything. It was a special thing for me that, me and John, decided that, it's time, especially when I was getting my ankle all healed up and stuff. And so that's when I just, realized and understood that it has to be done. The truth has to come out, and it'll make me feel a lot better about it and continue on taking care of my job and trying to get back into that ring again, Brock.
Well, I can't wait to see it. I just have one final question, and it kind of goes along the same lines of what we've already discussed. But when you were wrestling in Portland, did you ever think there would come a time that wrestling would be what it became at the height of that early WrestleMania period, where you're featured on a cartoon show and you're on music, the WWF wrestling is on MTV, and it became just this phenomenon that it is now? Not to give another name to Phenom, but did you ever envision that wrestling would become as mainstream and as popular with the people as it did in that time period?
You know what, brother? I never even thought that it was going to be that big, it just surprises me about how big this, the wrestling business went. And, I love it so much, brother, because, I was part of it. And I love it so much, brother.
Very cool. And you said in the book that your hero was Tarzan. Is that correct?
That's very correct.
Very cool, very cool. And I could definitely see the influences, sir. And
that makes a lot of sense, actually.
It does. Well, another one of the nuggets that people need to read this book for. It's just a great book. And Superfly, I got to tell you, it's been an honor for me and Patrick to spend this little bit of time with you. And I got to tell you, everybody that's listening, check out the book on Triumph Books. You could buy it off Amazon.com. It is a great read. And just as Superfly has sat here and talked to us like a conversation, that's how the book reads. The book does not read like somebody very pretentiously speaking. It reads like somebody just telling you about his life, and it's a very enjoyable read. And I got to tell you, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend this time with us to do this interview.
Brother, thank you guys very much for thinking about us, man. And you guys keep up the good work. God bless you too, brothers, and thank you for having me on your radio dial.
Oh, thank you. This has been a blast.
Yo, maniacs, this is Hulk Hogan, the greatest of all time, and you're listening to The Blaze. So what you gonna do when Hulk Hogan in Blaze-a-Mania runs wild on you?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Interactive Wrestling Radio right here on WrestlingEpicenter.com. We just finished up with our exclusive yet long-awaited interview with Superfly Jimmy Snuka. We certainly hope you guys enjoyed that. It's James Walsh, joined as always by Mr. Patrick Kelley.
Howdy, howdy.
And Nick Nola's got the night off tonight after a minor incident with this, but he's fine. He's still going to be joining us at some point. He just could not make it tonight. Anyway, welcome to the edition of the show. And I guess what we should talk about is, first of all, how did you think the Jimmy Snuka interview went?
I thought it was fun. It was, quick and easy. No, like you and I talked about it off the air, no major headlines. He's not going to say, he didn't bury anybody or say anything that shocking, but he was really friendly with us, and it was just a nice, fun little interview.
I enjoyed it.
And it's always cool to get a legend on the line.
That's the thing that I think a lot of people have to realize, that sometimes you do it to get the name, and there's nothing wrong with the interview we did. I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of the fact that we actually got it. Like I said, we've tried for many years to get Jimmy Snuka on this show, so I'm very proud that we did get him. I was never going to blindside him with any kind of crazy question to get a headline. So my main focus was to promote the book. I think we successfully did that, and I hope everybody enjoyed hearing from him. And you know what? I went back and I watched some old clips, and I saw a promo, which is going to actually be used as one of the pictures, the videos, during the Jimmy Snuka interview. So if you're hearing this, you've already seen it. Jimmy Snuka seems to not, change. He talked exactly the same in 1988 on a Hulk Hogan videotape that he does now. There's no difference in his voice. There's no weakness. He doesn't sound like an old man. He sounded like this, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and he still sounds like the same now. So that's somewhat
you know what? You find that with a lot of the characters from the 80s, in that guys like Hacksaw Jim Duggan, guys like Randy Savage, especially those type of guys, is that the wacky cartoony character that they had, that they had this weird voice that it felt like it was put on. Like, I remember listening to Savage when I was a kid and thinking, that can't be how he really is in real life. And sure enough, it's actually pretty close to how Savage really was. And I think Snuka's just one of those guys that it's not as much of a gimmick as you think it is.
No, I think he really is the Superfly. He lives it, he is it, and you know what? Guys like that, and you could put him on that echelon, because look what he is now. You could still, to this day, go to a Toys R Us, and granted it might not be this series of action figure, of which there's 753, but you can still find yourself a Jimmy Snuka action figure at Toys R Us right now. So it's pretty amazing that a guy has had a career that's spanned, over 40 years now, and he's still going strong. And this book is really something to read. I've said it in the intro, and I'll say it here. It reads like a conversation piece. It reads like something that he's talking about. It's not pretentious. He's not talking in a sense where he's smarter than he is. He's talking to you as he would talk to you if you were sitting at the bar, and in a strange way, that's the way we try to present this show. So I think that people should enjoy that.
Okay. Sounds good?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and that's available now through Triumph Books. It's called Superfly, the Jimmy SNuka Story, and I hope people do pick it up. So anyway, big news in wrestling this week was the Royal Rumble took place, and to nobody's surprise, the winner was John Cena.
Yeah, I think we all saw that coming. One thing I will say, though, is the Royal Rumble is an awesome attraction every year, because it's kind of one of the only things in wrestling that kind of proves the point that I've made before, that you've made before, that I know Eric, when he was on the show, he made the point before. We care, we want that sports-like logic in wrestling, and the Royal Rumble is kind of the thing that's just loaded with statistics, like that video package that they seem to put in front of the Rumble every year now. It really enlightens all the different things that make the Royal Rumble.
I'm pretty sure it started with Ben Benya, by the way. But
oh, yeah, Ben Benya, major Rumble mark. I remember reading some of his big write-ups about the Royal Rumble. It's like, it's just the Royal Rumble is kind of that perfect thing that, Super Bowl's coming up, and we always talk about, who had the most yards, who did this, who did that, who had the most interceptions in the Super Bowl. And the Royal Rumble is kind of that same thing for wrestling, and it really is a lot of fun to follow, even though the inevitability of John Cena winning kind of, it was inevitable. We all knew it was coming, so that might have put a damper on it for a lot of people. So
what also made it special is the fact that people look forward to that match. There is a set format to that pay-per-view. There's going to be the 30-man or more Battle Royal. And people look forward to that every year, and I think that's what separates it from other pay-per-views, is that people, like I said, expect that match, and it does still have a format to it. The Survivor Series used to have the format as well, with team battles and the King of the Ring tournament for the King of the Ring pay-per-view. There used to be these little set things that were going to happen at these pay-per-views, similar to what TNA is doing with Lockdown. And I think they need to get back to that, where there's more, this is what's going to happen, and this is going to be the big attraction of this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there was some fun stuff in this match too. Like, I thought Jericho coming back was a nice surprise.
That was cool, and nobody predicted that too. Very few online sources were saying it. The names I heard flying around were Carlito, Shelton, and Mark Henry. Which, no offense to those guys, but Shelton and Carlito are guys that we were praising back in 04, 05, and they never really got their break and never really became anything that special. So it's really hard to get that excited about them. But Jericho, I mean, he's a huge star, and the fact that they were able to keep that under wraps, and he put on a really good performance. Him and Ziggler both put on great Marathon Man Rumble performances. So it was really a nice comeback for Y2J. Absolutely it was. And I'll tell you what, my favorite part of the whole Rumble was Kofi Kingston.
The chair?
The chair, that was priceless. That was like something I would do.
Go ahead. What'd you say?
It's like something I would do. It's something like when you're playing the Royal Rumble with your friends, you end up somehow in a stupid position, goofing off, and you get thrown off the mattress or something and have to get back on there. It was just, it brought a comedy effect to it. It wasn't as athletically amazing as hand walking last year, but
right.
But it was still, I enjoyed that.
Now, I have a question about that, actually. Do you think that was planned, or that, because it looked to me like Kofi was standing on the table for a long time, and I thought, was he supposed to jump to the apron, and he just thought on the spot that he couldn't make the jump, so he just cooked that up on the fly?
Possibly. I mean, JBL was legitimately surprised.
Yeah, because it just looked like he was standing there for a really long time.
Theoretically, he could have just sat there on the chair and kicked off the table and let it roll to the ring.
Actually, that's dangerous to do that. You could fall backwards doing that.
Have you done this? I'm assuming that you have done this based on that comment.
Yes, I have. Yes, I know from experience. It's actually very dangerous to do that.
I've broken my chair.
I didn't have to go to the hospital for it, but I did fall backwards.
Oh, boy. So that was the inevitability, and we have a new WWE champion. Here comes the new boss, same as the old boss. The Rock has won the WWE championship.
Yeah, the new era, which is the old era. But again, we all knew Rock was going to win. I liked the match they had with Punk. I thought they had a good match. It wasn't the classic that I thought it might be, given how good their build-up was. But yeah, I enjoyed it overall. And if they just have to do Rock and Cena too, once you accept that inevitability, it's okay. What'd you say?
Yeah, that's fine. And I'm fine with that. And it'll be fine. It's going to be a big match. It's hopefully be better than the first one. I didn't think their first one was that great. So,
personally, I kind of wish they had saved Punk and Rock for Mania, but that's just me. Just to do something different.
Yeah, I would agree. And oh well, I mean, but that was the two big matches, I guess you could say. I mean, we could talk about the other title match with Alberto Del Rio and Big Show, but I don't see the point.
Look, nobody cares about the world title anymore. And I'll say this: I actually do like Alberto Del Rio as a babyface. I think it's nice to actually have a babyface champion that I give a shit about. I guess with The Rock too, I like them both. But there's just no reason to have that second world title. There's just none at all. So just unify the fucking belts and get it over with.
Yeah, I want to say this, though. This was awesome. During the Rumble, JBL had a great call that actually made me chuckle for quite a few minutes.
What?
Otunga came out and he said, "Hey, it's Jennifer Hudson's husband." And I don't know why, but that really struck me funny the way he said that.
JBL is really awesome on commentary because, especially on this show, it sounded like he just hated being there, and that just made it hilarious.
There's times when something like the Tensai and Brodus Clay dance-off, which is only saved by the fact that those two chicks are hot. That's the only thing that's watchable in that entire segment. There's times when he trashes it, and same with the Tamina match as well. And that had nothing to do with them. It just was a horribly booked match. I don't know what the hell went wrong with that, but that was just horribly booked. Where he just trashes it to the point where maybe if it was a competition and there was something else for somebody to turn to that was wrestling-oriented, like when there was the Monday Night Wars or either time, even though the latest one wasn't much of a war, more like a Monday Night Slaughter. But when they had this, maybe they wouldn't have let him kind of trash it the way he does, but when he does it, it just brings a sense of realism to where he's just not a company shill, and if this sucks, he's going to basically tell you, this sucks, and I hope the next thing's better. Because that actually makes it almost forces the writers to be better.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I like JBL. I don't know if it's because Vince doesn't want to push him around, because whenever Lawler and Cole talk, I feel like that's Vince speaking through them. It's like, just push this thing to hell and just say this. Defend the baby faces no matter what awful thing they do, and yeah, whatever. The people are stupid. We need to have them think my way. But JBL and JR too, to an extent, whenever they're on commentary, it just sounds like that they just speak their minds and say whatever they want to say, and it comes off so much more naturally. And look, can we just have JR and JBL at the booth? Can that just be our commentary team? I would love that.
Right, I think it would be good. I think and I'll say this about Impact. We are going to talk a little bit of Impact, but we're going to be a short show tonight. Even though Taz turned heel, I'm so glad he stayed because him and Tenay have such a chemistry together to where you can almost read what they're thinking. They've actually grown leaps and bounds in the past year or two on commentary together. So I was actually glad that even though they did this weird angle where Taz is a member of Aces and Eights, they kept him on the announce table because I think he needs to be there.
Yeah, I actually didn't see Impact last week, so I don't know how it went, but yeah.
No, they kept him on commentary. He's basically just a heel announcer. They just tweaked him a little bit, nothing much.
Okay, all right.
So anyway, another WWE news, and this is where Patrick and I will debate, is that the latest induction of the WWE Hall of Fame is a girl who spent 6 years in the wrestling business. Trish Stratus is the new inductee of the WWE Hall of Fame. Boy, she must have been good in bed.
Now, you keep saying that you believe she slept her way to the top. Do you have any proof of that?
I have no proof of that, but here's my proof. Storybook ending to a 6-year career. Storybook ending.
I know, and I'll go with you on that one because I thought it was really weird that she got that and Lita, well, let's be honest, she really got shit on her way out. And they were like within 2 months of each other, I think. So I was just sitting there like, why did Trish get like this huge send-off?
One was at SummerSlam, the other one's Survivor Series. So yeah, they were pretty much three.
No, I think I think it was. I want to say it was Unforgiven 06 was when Trish retired.
Was it? Okay. I thought it was SummerSlam, but I could be wrong.
No, no, because it was the same pay-per-view where Cena and Edge fought each other in the TLC match. So I think that was Unforgiven.
Okay. Well, look,
they all run together after a while.
They do. I'm not going to insult Trish. What she brought to the table was she was the first model who actually took the time to learn to work. Does she deserve praise for that? Absolutely. Does she deserve to be in the Hall of Fame before Luna, before Miss Elizabeth, before even Ivory, before I could go on, and I will, Leilani Kai, before other women wrestlers who were there for a lot longer than she was, that many of them made as much of an impact as she did. Do they deserve to be in? Does she deserve to be in before them? And my answer is absolutely not.
Now, here's the thing. And what'd you say?
Sorry, I was going to say, when Edge got hurt, I was on him going in the Hall of Fame, but at least it was the end of his career. With this, it's a way to praise somebody who they still use every time they have a stupid reality show to come up. It's stupid.
Well, here's the point I made with you. You said she's going in too soon, but... And I agree Luna should be in there. I do agree with you. Miss Elizabeth, if I were going to put her in, I'd put her in with Savage, and that's probably why she's not in it, to be perfectly honest. And you know, there's the Lita as well. I'm sure, you know, Lita's going to go in at some point. China will never go in for obvious reasons that don't need to be stated here. But, you know, I think, and I said this with the NFL Hall of Fame, you become eligible when you've been retired for 5 years. And that's when you first become eligible. And Trish has been retired for about 6.5. So,
at least retired longer than she was there. You know, I have favorite baseball players that I loved when I was growing up. Guys like Greg Jeffries. I had favorite football players like guys like we talked about earlier off the air, Jeff Hostetler, even Phil Simms. And none of those guys are in the Hall of Fame of their respective sports.
Well, quite honestly, I don't think they deserve to be. And I'm speaking as a Giants fan. I don't think Phil Simms or Jeff Hostetler are Hall of Fame worthy. Just throw that out there.
I mean, granted, they won the Super Bowl, but that's neither here nor there. No, I agree with you, and that's fine. That's the, it could still be popular. If they do an autograph signing in New York, they're still going to sell out the place. But they don't have the statistics to warrant going into the Hall of Fame. In my opinion, a 6.5-year career on a girl whose biggest thing that you could find on YouTube was kissing Mickie James and crawling around in a thong across the ring does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And I don't care how many Kleenex tissue boxes were sold based on those two things, she does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, at least not yet.
Well, I had this in my head of what I was going to say. You look at a lot of the other girls that you mentioned. I think if you're looking at the WWE solely, I think Trish meant more to the WWE as the company itself than a lot of the girls that you mentioned. We can argue which one were better workers, like Medusa or Ivory, or girls like that. But I think Trish, by the way she was promoted and the popular act that she eventually became with the company, and she did work hard. We're not, like you said, we're not debating that she didn't work hard to get into that spot. But I think overall she meant more to the WWE than a lot of the other girls that came before her. And ultimately, I think the WWE is just promoting their creation. And personally, I think another reason is that they want to get her in while she's still hot, to be perfectly honest, because they want her to look good when she goes in.
Yeah, and probably try and do something where they have her wrestle. Don't make any bones about that. I don't know. It seems to me like it's a move to promote somebody who they clearly have some kind of a crush on. They continually try to get her jobs in movies that bomb, in television productions like Newscast where she sucks and doesn't do well. They continue.
Well, she has her own projects that she's doing. Like she has her own yoga thing that's apparently doing very well. So,
well, good for her.
That's she's fine on her own.
Oh, she's going to do fine because she's A, attractive, and B, a name. And I don't doubt that she worked hard to get there. I just don't think it's time for her to be in there. And then I read that they're going to announce that Kamala's going to be in this time, and you got people saying, I don't think he deserves to be in there. Really? A 30-year career doesn't deserve to be there, but a 6-year career does?
Well, here's the thing, and this is where I'm going to kind of defend the WWE here by the way the Hall of Fame is set up. And we've said this pretty much every year since they started doing it again. The Hall of Fame really has no credibility. It's just a thing to do, like, hey, here's a nostalgia pop. Here you go. And let's just honor these people that used to be popular years ago. And that's kind of what the Hall of Fame is. Here's the criteria to get in. Either Vince likes you, or Vince thinks he can make money off you, or both. That's the criteria. There's no voting system. There's no, nothing. It's just kind of like Vince picks him and that's it. And you kind of just have to look at it that way. I don't think it's kind of like, it's not, to me anyway, it's not this official thing that's kind of the standard bearer of the business. It's just something that the WWE cooked up to kind of make money and get nostalgia pops for their biggest show of the year. So for that, I think Trish fits in with that. I think, and this is the example I go back to. We had Coco Beware on the show, and he was very nice to us, and I liked Coco when I was a kid, but ultimately, really, he was just the Zack Ryder of his day. He was just kind of a comedy gimmick that lost all the time. That's kind of what he was. So was that a Hall of Fame career? By my standards, I would say no, but WWE just wanted, because Coco, gets a pop whenever he goes out there, so it's like, all right, we'll just throw him out there. So, I mean, that's pretty much the standard for getting into this.
Mm-hmm. I guess so. I mean,
and I think Trish Stratus made greater contributions to the WWE than Coco Beware did. I know that sounds harsh, but
you like her great matches with Lita.
Well, the flip side of that is who else did Lita have great matches with?
You know what? That's a fair point. I never really thought about that. They
wrestled each other so much that. And
I actually wrote an editorial about them, and I put over the matches, and I said that it worked because they were parodies. They were totally different people. Yes, they're both totally hot and gorgeous, but in different ways. Lita was the tattooed, brutish, brute-like, knockout chick who could flip and do all the other stuff, and Trish was the model who turned into a wrestler and kind of had the more classically traditional sex appeal.
Who they keep trying to recreate, by the way.
And they never do.
No, well, I mean, Caitlyn, you look at her now. I mean, she's basically, it's like, wow, they really want her to be Trish Stratus, don't they? They wanted Kelley to be Trish Stratus.
Yeah, the only problem is they can't work. But anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. And
that
Trish,
is the compliment, Trish. But anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And to her credit, I just want to, put over Trish some more. This is a girl that came in with absolutely no experience. Was just a model that they hired, and within her first year, she was taking table bumps. Like, unprotected, too.
I'd give her credit. I'd give her credit for working hard. I just don't think she was that good. I don't think let me put it this way. I don't think she was deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. It seems pathetic to me that we're talking about people like Edge and Trish Stratus being in the Hall of Fame when they're, like, are they even 40? Really?
No, well, I don't know. It's like, I'm trying to think. Edge might be close, but I mean, no, you're absolutely right that they put some of these people in too soon. Personally, I think in a few years they're going to run out of people to put in. That's another thing. I think they put Trish in because they need, like, a big name that fans recognize to make the Hall of Fame worth checking out when they do their TV special and when they do the show in Madison Square Garden. And think about it, they're kind of running out of big names.
Yeah, I mean, everybody that you can think of, including our guest from this week, Superfly's in there, Hogan's in there, Flair's in there twice, which is effing retarded. And
I think you made a great point. We were talking about this off the air, and you made a great point. You think that the next big thing that they're going to do is, like, you're only worth anything if you're a 2-time or a 3-time Hall of Famer, and that's how they're going to, like, they're going to get, like, Shawn and Triple H in there, like, 6 times through, like, Evolution's going to get in, and DX is going to get in, and the Click is going to get in, and the Rockers are going to get in, and it's going to be something ridiculous like that, which I wouldn't be surprised if you saw that in a few years.
Yeah. And Shawn's going to say, well, I'm running out of fingers. Things like that, stupid things like that, I'll say. But anyway, final thing for the show today is TNA is in England right now, and the spoilers have been out, but Dixie Carter did something smart, and she put out at the beginning of the show, she's going to have a big announcement that's going to change Impact forever. Nobody seems to know what it is, and it's actually kept well under wraps. So tune into Impact to see what that's going to be. And you know what? For a show that's taped and it apparently has a really hot crowd, which is a big plus for that show because the Impact Zone sucks, this announcement's going to be something that's worth tuning in to see because it's something the spoilers do not have. So it's still new content that we don't already know what's going to happen. We can't wait. We don't like surprises. But we still are going to be surprised on this show.
Now, my question to you is, what do you think the surprise is?
Well, I think it's going to be something along the lines of either they're going to do some tapings consistently outside of the Impact Zone. They might be done with the Impact Zone or giving the Impact Zone a break. Either that or it could be something as simple as Dixie Carter's decided that she's going to unsuspend Bully Ray.
Well, if it's that would be kind of lame. Really, that would just be a strictly storyline kind of thing. But
right.
Actually, spoiler alert for the people that don't know, that was actually made official on the UK tapings.
I kind of figured much. They kind of teased that.
Yeah, so it was pretty much, they did the segment in the ring. So I don't think that they're going to have Dixie Carter make an announcement towards something that's going to happen on the show.
Right.
But by the way, how did Bully Ray be suspended and he keeps getting into the building?
How did the Aces and Eights keep getting into the building when they were locked out? I guess they got access at Bound for Glory, but before then. You just suspend belief a little bit.
It's Ed Wood syndrome. Have you ever heard of suspension of disbelief?
That's a contradiction of itself, really, but... Wrestling loves to use that phrase, but it's a contradiction of itself if you ever actually diagram it in a sentence.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Diagramming sentences, I was doing that in middle school.
Alrighty, dude. Well, it's been great. We're going to be back in a few weeks here, hopefully with Nick Knoll back with us. But, Patrick, thanks again for spending this time with me.
No problem. Going back. Oh, and everybody tune into the Super Bowl this weekend. Enjoy, all you football fans out there.
Gotta love it. Pulling for the Ravens, actually, this time. I don't care who wins, as long as it's, whichever team wins, I don't really care. But pulling for the Ravens on this one.
Yeah, so am I. I'm just glad New England didn't get in. That made me happy.
That's exactly what I was trying not to say, but yeah, exactly.
No, I'll say it. I'm actually, because I've been watching a lot of Super Bowl highlights lately, and I was watching clips of the Raiders from the 70s, and they were like, try to imagine like a team full of Blutos from Popeye, and that's basically what the Raiders were. And I'm like, I hate them, and they're villains, and they're just so easy to hate, but they're fun to hate. The Patriots now, they're not even fun to hate. I'm just sick of them.
They're snotty little bitches. And
especially Belichick, who I want to punch in the goddamn face every time I see him.
All right. Well, before we turn off the entire Massachusetts, Connecticut.
Yeah, we alienated that entire demographic, the whole state of Massachusetts.
There you go. Yeah, I don't like them because they insulted the Brady. There you go. So
yeah, that's my ex-girlfriend. So
there you go. All right, dude. Take it easy, man, and hope everybody enjoyed the show. Go ahead and check out Triumph Books and Superfly, the Jimmy SNuka Story, available on bookshelves everywhere and on Amazon.com.
Later, everybody.